Ever heard of a Corsac? No? Well, you're not alone. This fox is as elusive as it is misunderstood. Hailing from the semi-deserts and steppes of Central Asia, the Corsac fox often finds itself in the shadow of its more famous fox cousins. A bit of an underdog, you might say. But don't let its relative obscurity fool you. This little critter is full of surprises. So let's dive in and separate the fox facts from the fox fiction. First off, many people think Corsacs are desert dwellers. They picture them frolicking in the dunes under the scorching sun. Now let's imagine this scenario for a moment. Picture our furry friend, the Corsac fox, with its thick winter coat, out in the middle of the Sahara. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a very sweaty situation to me. Can you see it now? Desperately fanning itself with its tail, wishing it had a tiny fox-sized parasol to shield it from the blazing sun. I can't help but chuckle at the thought, but this is where the myth starts to crumble. Despite their sandy-colored fur, Corsacs are not designed for desert life. In fact, they would much rather be lounging in the grasslands, where the climate is cooler and the food is plentiful. Their habitats are the vast steppes of Central Asia, not the sandy dunes of the Sahara. In reality, these foxes prefer the cooler climates of the steppe, proving that not all foxes are cut out for the desert life. Another common myth is that Corsacs are solitary creatures preferring their own company to the hustle and bustle of fox society. Now picture this. A Corsac, all by its lonesome, sitting in the desert, sipping a cup of tea, reading the newspaper, enjoying the peace and quiet. Seems like a plausible image, right? Well, hold your horses, or rather, your foxes. Because this image couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, if Corsacs could throw parties, they'd probably be the life of the party. Imagine a Corsac donning a party hat surrounded by its fox friends, playing games and having a grand old time. Quite a different picture. Of course, they don't actually throw parties or wear party hats, but this humorous image serves to debunk the myth of the solitary Corsac. Corsacs, in fact, enjoy the company of their peers and often live in small family groups. In truth, Corsacs are quite social, often living in small family groups, so much for the Lone Ranger image. Lastly, there's the myth that Corsacs are picky eaters, turning their noses up at anything that isn't gourmet rodent cuisine. Picture this, a Corsac in a chef's hat, meticulously preparing a meal of field mice, being very particular about the garnish. Or imagine a Corsac at a five-star restaurant, perusing the menu with a monocle, and sending back the grasshopper tartare because it's just not up to par. But let's get real, folks. Corsacs are not culinary connoisseurs, nor are they aspiring master chefs. They don't have a discerning palate, nor do they demand an array of exotic meals. In fact, they're quite the opposite. Corsacs are what we call opportunistic omnivores. That's a fancy way of saying they'll eat just about anything they can get their paws on, from insects, rodents, birds to plants. So, sorry to burst your bubble, but there are no food snobs here. Actually, Corsacs are opportunistic omnivores, which means they'll eat just about anything. No food snobs here. So, what have we learned about our furry friend, the Corsac? Well, we've certainly debunked a bunch of myths, haven't we? The Corsac fox, contrary to popular belief, isn't a desert dweller. Remember folks, each time you picture a Corsac in the middle of a vast sandy desert, replace that image with one of it hopping around the grasslands of Central Asia. And the idea of the Corsac being a lone ranger? Toss that out the window. These little guys are quite the social butterflies. They live and travel in groups, and they're not afraid to show it. So the next time you see a Corsac, don't be surprised if it's got a squad backing it up. And let's not forget about the myth of the picky eater. These foxes aren't turning their noses up at anything. They are opportunistic feeders, happily munching on anything from rodents to insects and even plants when the occasion calls for it. So no, they're not scanning restaurant menus for the finest gourmet meals. To sum it all up, the Corsac fox is not a creature of the desert, nor a solitary beast, and it certainly doesn't have a discerning palate. It is, in reality, a cool, social, and adaptable creature that thrives in diverse environments and doesn't mind breaking a few stereotypes. The Corsac, not a desert dweller, not a loner, and definitely not a picky eater. Just a cool, social, and adaptable fox that doesn't mind breaking a few stereotypes.